President Biden is expected to sign into law the first bill that specifies lynching as a federal hate crime. The Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, which Congress passed on March 7, enables the prosecution of crimes as lynchings if they are done during a hate crime in which the victim is injured or slain. A 2020 version of the bill set the maximum sentence as 10 years. The one Biden will sign comes with 30 years in prison and fines for anyone conspiring to commit an act of lynching that causes death or injury. The House approved the bill, 422-3, with 8 members not voting. The Senate passed the bill by unanimous consent. Illinois Democratic Representative Bobby L. Rush introduced this version in January 2021. He introduced a bill as well in January 2019 and the House passed it, 410-4, but it stalled in the Senate. Lynching has always been a terrorist weapon in the hands of racists in the history of our nation, Rush said in an interview this year. Just as important, he added, is that it remains so, a continuing weapon to promote racialized terror. Here is a deeper look at the bill. In 2015, the Equal Justice Initiative issued a report that detailed more than 400 documented racial terrorist lynchings of black people in America between 1877 and 1950. The Montgomery, Alabama, nonprofit later reported that during the 12-year period of Reconstruction after the Civil War, at least 2,000 black women, men and children were victims of lynchings. The Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act is clearly symbolic, in addition to having teeth, said Damon T. Hewitt, President and Executive Director of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under law. No doubt about that, especially given the long road it's taken to have any federal anti-lynching legislation. Even if they somehow are able to appeal the underlying sentence, you still have the federal charge. Acts of violence, including those where the race of the victim is a factor, are covered under state laws, according to Matthew Countryman, Afroamerican and African Studies chair at the University of Michigan. States, particularly in the South, have been unwilling to enforce these laws, Countryman. In the 1960s, he said, the Justice Department began charging people with violations of civil rights. The anti-lynching law is another tool, Countryman said. But you need a Justice Department that's willing to prosecute. Lynching typically is understood to mean illegal mob actions that result in the slaying of a person based on race without due process for the victim.